Hey guys, what's going on? Bringing another Blackout video today. This video, actually, as you'll see here at this main map, maybe you won't, but I'm pretty sure this was when my controller was still broken, so I was having some trouble with my controller stick drifting. I had to get a new controller, so it's all good now, but the stick was drifting on my Elite controller, so you might see that in here. You might see me occasionally just like looking up at the sky for no reason, or when I'm looking at the mini map, it'll drift up there. So yeah, this was a game that I played a couple weeks ago. I think it was about a week and a half ago, and it's a game I wanted to upload because it just kind of shows just my generally how Blackout goes for me, or how it's been going since I came back. I played for a couple months, and then I took like 2 months off, and then now I'm back, and this is right before I started winning again. But the problem for me is that I just initially my playstyle before I got decent aim was to just play really slow and not take any fights at all unless I had to. I wouldn't engage guys at any sort of distance unless they were closer than like 50 meters. I wouldn't even try to fight them. And yeah, I mean, that's just the way I played it. And so I played it super safe, and I was making it to a lot of top placements, but not getting a lot of kills. And I just kept figuring, like, eventually I'd start winning, which I did. But now that I've been back, I've been taking more of an aggressive approach. And it was not working out at all at first. I started playing passive, and then for like a week, and then I was like, this isn't working, man. This is boring. I'm not having fun. So I started playing more aggressive, and now that I'm playing more aggressive, you'll see that it's working out for me in games like this, but the problem is I still choke in those late game scenarios, and that's, any of you guys that have played this mode know that when it gets down to like less than 5 people left, and when there's like a couple people left, you're really, your heart's really racing. It's a tense moment for sure, and there's only a couple guys left, and you only have to win 1 or 2 gunfights, and that's going to be the win for you, and so it just changes everything, just changes the whole dynamic. But what you'll notice in this one, I'm still trying to get better at looting. I'm still trying to get faster at looting. It's still a weakness of mine. I feel like I probably spend too much time looting just in general. Like I'll, if I drop here like this and there's no one here, I'll basically completely loot the whole area, which I think is a problem. I mean, it's not necessary. I used to, the strategy I used to take in PUBG was like, hey, if you get in there, get some of the essentials that you need, get some stuff that's going to help you win a couple fights. By the time you win the first fight, whoever guy you killed has already done what I'm doing right now. So if I take the time to do this right now, then I'm basically at a disadvantage, because by the time I fight him, we're both going to be looted up, and one of us is going to lose. Whereas if I spend a little bit of time looting and then start going after guys, then you have a much better chance at, first of all, not wasting your own time, because if you do die, then you only wasted a few minutes, 5 minutes, and then you're gone. But like for me, a lot of times I play games where, and this was part of me noticing that I wanted to play more aggressive, I'd play games where I'd play for like 10, 15 minutes and I'd have 1 kill. And I just thought, like, man, I could have played 3 entire games during that time, and even if I only dropped and got 1 kill and then died, which is not likely 3 games in a row, I still would have had 3 times, or 1.5 times the kills that I got in this game. And so it's just like starting to think about it and go, man, that's also part of why my aim isn't improving all that fast, because I've got almost 11 days at this point, and my aim is just still not quite there. And I mean, there's some differences. Like I don't know for sure, but I've read online that there's no aim assist in Blackout. I don't know exactly what I was doing there. I think I saw a guy. But yeah, I mean, there's no, from what I hear, there's no aim assist in Blackout beyond like 25 meters or something like that. So there seems to be a little bit of aim assist, but once you get to a good range, there's not. And so the aiming is just a little off, and it's just kind of a sluggish input, and I don't exactly understand that. Obviously from, playing on the PC for a little while now, coming back to Xbox, 6 months ago was a little weird, because there's definitely a lot of, it is a delay, but it's kind of like laggy when you're using a control stick, so it's not very precise. So that's kind of part of it too. But I really haven't played a lot of Call of Duty recently, so my aim was bad. But I just realized, like, if I get in more fights, then my aim will improve faster and better, so will my game skills. And my game sense as far as when to push, when to be aggressive. And so I just thought, why not just be more aggressive? It's it'd make me more angry, obviously, to keep losing all the time. But it also gives you, more of a chance to play. So anyway, so all that to say, all this 3.5 minutes that I've been talking about this specific thing to say that this game is not exactly representative of my playstyle now, even though it was only 10 days ago, 10, 12 days ago or whatever. It's changed since then. And, even that game I put up the other day with the SWAT where I won the game, that's actually after this game also. But the point of this game is just to show, that when you get to the late game, really the only way to get over choking in the late game is to be there a bunch of times. You can't be clutch unless you've practiced it. So you can't just, you watch these guys stream and they get into the top 5 and they're just running around like it's any old part of the game and they're just decimating guys. And a lot of times these guys end the game without even going to the final 2 circles. And, that's part of the thing for me. And like, if you watch like Shroud, who is like a huge PUBG player, if you watch him play, his games end really fast compared to normal games. And that's because he's just doing so much work. He's killing so many people so fast. But for me, it's for me now, it's a combination of playing it safe and trying to be aggressive when I know I need to be. And in this case, Circle was coming in, so I had to go. But this was just a perfect example of a game where I choked at the last second. And, it's a game where... That's great. It's a game where, you can practice and you can have all the good positioning all you want. You can have the guns and stuff you want and all that. But ultimately what it comes down to is, a one-on-one battle at the end, and you have to win that. And if you don't win it, then... See, that's something that I've kept, and that's the new me, and that was from months ago, is that I'm shooting automatic at the guy, and it's not working, really. I hit him a few times, and I start missing shots, so then you back off, and you just single shoot. Even from this distance, with a suppressor on here like this, and I don't really use suppressors anymore, but even from this distance with a suppressor, like, you're going to have to burst a gun like the KN. You can't just mash the trigger and hold it down and just hope for the best. You're going to have to actually pump it a little bit and, be accurate. And as you saw, I lit him up a bunch, and I was missing shots. And then as I was missing the shots, I stopped, and I started single shooting, and I basically hit him every bullet after that. Not this guy, but the guy before him. Can't believe I didn't die there. Now, that's one of the things about the trauma kits. Like, you take that much damage, and it's just like, oh, man, I took a horrible amount of damage right there. I'm about to die. But then you look at it, and you're like, I still have 90 health. I'm probably pretty good. So in this case, I can't really challenge that guy. He's too far, and I at this point, I don't really know where he is. So you see me looking there. Obviously, I see the car, but I'm just thinking like maybe he's in the window. So then I start doing that. And, you tag him a few times like that, and they're not going to want any part of that. If he's trying to shade himself like that and use, shoulders to go with, like, in between 2 walls, like he's shooting between 2 walls at an angle so I can barely see him. I didn't even see him, and I'm, tapping him like that. He's not going to want to re-challenge that. He's going to be like, yeah, maybe I'll back off. Which is another thing that frustrates me when I play this game. A lot of times I play against guys who won't back off in that situation. And it's a dumb move on their part, but it's so, like, bold and, like, brass balls move that they end up just winning because they just stand out in the open and just keep shooting at you, even though you clearly tagged them a bunch of times. And for me, it's like I expect them to retreat a little bit. So one of the things that I do that is really fun, and it works well when I play in duos, because I play with a friend of mine and he doesn't play as much Blackout as I do, so for me it's a little bit better. My aim is probably a little bit better than his, especially from distance. So one of the things I love to do is, like, when we're playing, we'll start getting shot from a distance, and I always want shots on target, but I realize, like, sometimes we're at a distance where he's not going to be able to hit the shots, or, sometimes whatever. So I always just pull up and start hitting shots on a guy. The example would be like you're running across a field and a guy's shooting at you. If he's tagging you and he's really wrecking you, you're not going to want to do anything to him. But, if he misses, 2 out of 4 shots or something, and totally what I do is I love to, see where he's shooting, pop up, and just tag him like 3-4 bullets from distance with an AR, and he just dips out real quick. He's like, nah, I'm not going to fight that. Just boom, 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 boom. And, you're not even going to damage him, really. I mean, you're not going to kill him, maybe. Maybe you will. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll just down him. Or maybe you won't down him at all. But just doing that kind of damage to somebody definitely scares them a little bit. When they have a sniper scope on and they think they're going to be hitting you, and then you pull up and just, nail them a couple times, they're not going to want to, they're not going to want to deal with that. So At this stage, I saw the ICR, and, you know, that's a big moment for me. Pass on the ICR. I was like, you know, I'm going to pass. I don't necessarily need the ICR. And this was, you know, I'm still trying to use the KN. It still let me down a few times, including this time. Obviously, when I watched the video back the other day, I realized, like, man, I was so close to killing the guy. And it's painful for me to watch, you know. One of the things that, when I was playing Overwatch a lot, one of the things that the guys would say, and I'd watch a lot of, like, you know, VOD reviews and coaching reviews and stuff. One of the things the guys would always say is you need to watch your own gameplay back. You have to. If you don't, you're not going to improve because you don't know where you're making mistakes, and you might think you played it one way, but you played it a different way. And so that was one of the things with this game, which, you know, I do watch them back now. And honestly, it's kind of painful for me to watch them back sometimes. And, you know, some of those other games that I've had, like, you know, like watching this final gunfight in this game when it's just one-on-one, me and one guy at the very end, and I end up dying to him, it's absolutely painful to watch. And so I just started realizing, evaluating as I saw this, it was just like, hey man, you know, I'm getting to the top 5 pretty consistently, or pretty top 10 pretty regularly, and top 5, you know, at least a few times a week, but I just was getting no wins. I literally got none, and I wasn't converting the high placements into wins. And so it's just like, well, again, this game is a perfect analogy for that, because it's like, I played this game, and this is weird right here, watch. This is one of the funniest things that's happened to me in Blackout in a while. So I'm running, right? And just watch what happens to my screen a little bit. Watch. It's coming up here in a second. So I saw my screen drag a little bit, and I was like, man, there's someone around me. Thought I heard something. You guys might have already seen him, but just watch what happens. I'm like, oh, that's a far circle. So right there, my screen's dragging, and I'm like, dude, there's a guy somewhere. And I'm like, there's a guy in this bush. And look at him, just laying down. Look how many hits that took to kill him. That's ridiculous. And if you see, the bag went away, so he had no loot. So who knows what that guy was doing. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have hit him, but once I hit him, I thought it was like, oh, one more hit. And then I was like, oh, man, it's got to be one more hit. And then I just hit him until he died. But so
supply drop inbound.
I just kept having these games, and, you know, occasionally I'd have games like this where I think I end up with 8 kills in this game, 8 or 9 kills. So I end up with 8 or 9 kills, and I make it to number 2. And so it's basically like saying, hey, that's what I'm trying to do. If you told me at the beginning of a game that I'd get even 5 kills and make it to number 2, I'd be happy with that. I'd be like, all right, let's do it. That gives me a 50-50 chance of winning. Or, you know, if I'm better or I play it well, maybe more than that. So it just kept wearing on me. I'm like, man, I keep getting to these top 5s. And I'm just not winning. I don't get it, man. What is the deal? How can I play all game and in an open field when there's, you know, 50 guys left? How can I run through an open field and, you know, the whole game on foot and end up with, you know, 5, 6, 7 kills and not even place in the top 10? But then when I get to the top 10, I can't even get any kills, you know? So then I started thinking about it, and I thought, okay, well, maybe my playstyle, and look at that, see? Oh, that's beast right there. That guy just ducked out real quick. He's like, nope, just jumped off that bridge. So it's like I started thinking it has to be... See, I did it right there too. I was missing a bunch of shots, so I stopped shooting. I was like, hey, I'm not going to keep shooting if I'm missing all these shots. Like, a lot of the guys, one of the things that gets me is when I watch a lot of guys stream, even the best of the best guys like Optic Teep, TEP, or Sean P1, or Spiros, or any of those guys, is that they just, you know, they miss a lot of shots sometimes, and they just keep shooting. They just keep, you know, mashing it, and they try to... See that right there? Man, he lit me up, did 50 damage to me before I really hit him at all, and then I just lasered him through the rest. So it's like, how can I win a gunfight like that? How can I win 2 gunfights like that within a short period of time? No problem running up the hill. Yet still end up not winning the game. So it comes down to 2 things. First of all, when you get in those top 10 situations, you're playing it a lot more cautiously because you're like, oh man, I could win this game. So you're not like rushing out like you normally would, and or being as aggressive as you normally would. Generally, people are being a little bit more passive, and you'll see one of those guys here in a minute or two in this game. You'll see one of those guys that I just murder while he's laying in the grass, and I don't know what he's doing, but he's obviously trying to play as, you know, silently and stealthily as possible, which is what you should do, but ultimately that's not going to win you the game, and that's where I am, and that's where I have been. Now I've gotten a couple wins recently, and I sort of feel like I'm starting to break free of that, but, you know, you have your off nights or whatever. So the other thing is, not only does it come down to you're playing it a little bit differently, you know, again, like that, you know, that guy's just, see, he turned to shoot at me, to challenge me, and he didn't hit any of the shots. He might not have even seen exactly where I was, and he jumped off the bridge, same thing. So in those situations, you know, you see guys and you're like, okay, well, there's two strategies. Either you run and try to get to cover, or you know, fire some shots, fire some covering fire. There's a reason why in the military they have a guy who's a support gunner in your group. There's a reason why there's a guy with an LMG that's got a 100-round magazine or 75-round magazine. It's because those guys can provide some cover. If you need to cross an alleyway, if you need to cross a street or whatever, those guys can just lay down some fire and keep the other guys' heads down while they cross. And that's one of the other strategies. And that's the one I like to employ now that my aim's gotten good enough that I can tag guys from distance. I mean, these guys that I was tagging with this thing, I mean, I'm using a suppressor, you know? Like, no long barrel, and the bullets are dropping like a rock, and I'm still able to challenge them. But the second piece, the reason why I was choking, one, is you play way more cautious when there's very few people left, and everybody does, I feel like. Except for those guys that are seasoned veterans that win, like, hundreds of games, in which case you get really desensitized to it, but most people are just a lot more cautious when they get to these later circles. See, look at this. You see that guy in the water? I centered right on him, and I'm like, is that a guy? Nah, I don't think that's a guy. I think that's a rock. I'm like, nah, maybe it's a guy. Maybe it's a rock. I don't really know. And I look at that, I'm like, I think that's a guy. I think it might be a guy. But I don't want to shoot, because I don't want to give away my position, even though I'm suppressed. I'm just like, I don't know, man. Watch this, though. Yes, I put on a grenade, and I'm like, I think that is a guy. Yeah, look, it's a frickin' guy. He's been sitting there that whole time. And I was looking right at him. He was just standing there. I don't know what he was doing. Just standing there. Unbelievable, right? But the second factor is your heart starts racing when you get in those situations. Your hands are shaking a little bit. You're sweating a little bit. You're really, like, on edge, and you're not calm, and that is the other reason. And in this game is the best example of that, because I was absolutely crapping a brick in this game. When it's the final fight, you'll see what I'm talking about. I was absolutely petrified in the final fight. Like, I just thought, I am gonna die. Like, it's one-on-one. I know right where he is. I didn't really have much equipment or anything. Didn't have much utility. No stuns, I don't think. You know. So it's just like one of those things where I was just like, man, this is not going well. Like, I'm really nervous, and I was playing way safer than I usually do, and that caused me to lose. So I've really been trying to not do that, and, you know, lo and behold, that SWAT win that I put up the other day, if you guys haven't seen that, check that out. It's from 4 or 5 days ago. That win was basically what happened after I had this game, a couple days later, after I'd had that realization. Now, I'm just trying to get some information here. I'm trying to figure out where this guy is. Obviously, he's shooting me, but I can't tell exactly where he is, and right there, I'm like, okay, he's behind the rock. Time for a grenade. See what happens there. Didn't get over there. But same thing here. See, I'm just kind of putting some fire over there. Just kind of trying to discourage him from poking out. Trying to give myself an advantage. And then I see him running up the hill. I'm like, alright, he's ducking. You know, he doesn't want to fight me. Now, of course, you know, again, when you're watching these back, you're like, oh man, you know, heal your armor self. What are you doing? But, you know, I'm not worried about that at this point. And again, there's another guy, and I can't tell if that's the same guy or where he is. And I'm not sprinting right there because I think he's close. It sounded like he was really close, but yeah, no, it's that guy up on the cliff. So at this point, I'm like, yep, not gonna deal with that. Know when to take your battles. And you know, I'm also playing the edge of the circle here. Oh, I think there was a frag in there. So it's just a lot of evaluation of my own play, just trying to figure out, you know, where I can improve, how I can get better. And this was just a really frustrating game. Look at this. It's like, he has 105 health. He wasn't even in. I don't know if he was taking damage from the zone right there or what, but 105 health, so he's not even full health, and he's laying there in the grass. It's like, I don't know, dude. Maybe he's going to the bathroom or something, but... And you can see rainbow camo now. So I've got, you know, 6 kills with this gun. Only 5 people left. There's 4 people watching me, which of course also adds to the stress. It's just like old days with Search and Destroy, where you were the last guy on your team, and just knowing that there's 5 people spectating you while you're making your plays, it's just like... So I throw on Consumer, one of my favorite perks for late game. You know, makes you heal real fast and repair your armor stuff real fast. And I see that guy, really the wrong play to stay here, but you know, he tried to make a play, and he didn't engage on me soon enough. If he had done something to me sooner, if he had a grapple and grappled to me, if he had a stun, if he had a frag, he definitely would have killed me. But you know, again, hindsight, when you're watching the game back, it's easy to see that. Whereas you're just thinking, like, in the game, you're just panicking, like, oh, there's a guy there. Oh, okay, I got a frag. Okay, there's only a few people left. At this point, I know there's only 2 other guys left. And, you know, I actually heard Spiro say this in a video the other day, which I thought was funny because I've known this for a really long time since I was playing PUBG. It's basically like a triangle. So at this point in the game, because of how few people are left, you basically know there's no guys, like, ultra close to you because you already would have fought them. So basically like a triangle. So if one guy is like off to your right, like I see that guy there. So I figure there's no guy over here between us. I figure the other guy's down to the left. So make a play to go this way. And look, I was wrong. He is down there. So now both the guys are over here. I'm kind of pinned, kind of stuck. Luckily I get that guy. So now it's just one-on-one. Now I know right where he is. So ideally I would already be pushing at him. He had a sniper out, but I know where he is, and I see him at this rock. I'm just like, okay, so I throw the stun, and, well, didn't go far enough, nothing happens. Right there, oh, he's almost dead, and I... It's all the equipment I had, I think, right there. I can't see my thing because my recording software's in the way, but I'm pretty sure those are all the things I had. Now, he wasted equipment, I wasted equipment, he threw a couple grenades, and look at that. Normally, I would have been hitting those shots, but panicking me with one-on-one is, you know, shaken, so it's not working so well. So now I don't see him, and my thought is he went down to the left, like, I'm going to die, he's going to flank me. Of course, I'm listening really closely, and sure enough, I'm pretty sure he's coming this way. And just... Now look at his screen. He's flashing. So that's how close I was to winning. 2 KN57s. I red screened him, and that's me, you know, probably yelling at him, probably calling him all sorts of horrible names. But I mean, look, you know, 8 kills, and you know, it just doesn't translate into a win because my plays are just all wrong. You know, and lots of area to improve in there, but it's kind of about. I said this in my last video, but it's kind of about knowing which situations to push, which situations to not push, because each fight is differently. Nice grammar. Each fight is different and plays out differently. So sometimes you want to push at the exact right moment, and there's instances where you might not want to heal and push real quick, or you might want to back off and heal. I mean, there's all sorts of different scenarios, and you know, I mean, that's a lot of damage. You know, 1568, that's a pretty good amount of damage. That's up there with the highest I've ever had. And, you know, my best in the game is only 10 kills, so I wasn't far off from that either. But, again, didn't win, and, you know, so I looked at this and evaluated and tried to figure out how I can get better. So, again, wow, totally didn't mean to talk through the whole thing. I didn't have anything to say, honestly. I was just going to record, like, 2 minutes and let the whole video play. But, well, here we are, what, 24 minutes later? All right, guys, thanks for being here. Catch you later.